We begin our report at the United Nations, where President Biden urged support for Ukraine and condemnation of Russia. The president's remarks on Tuesday also urged global cooperation on combating climate change and managing competition with China. The gathering of world leaders was a remote work opportunity for most of the members of the UN Security Council. President Biden is the only head of state from a permanent member of the UN Security Council to attend this year's General Assembly. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and French President Emmanuel Macron are both skipping the event. A spokesperson for Sunak blamed his busy schedule, while Macron is hosting King Charles in Paris this week. Meantime, China's Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin rarely show up in person. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes reports.
Evil cannot be trusted.
Speaking in English and in person, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned more than 100 world leaders that Russia might come for their countries next if it isn't stopped in Ukraine.
And the goal of the present war against Ukraine is to turn our lands, our people, our lives, our resources into a weapon against you, against the international rules-based order.
Ukraine has already received hundreds of billions of dollars in international aid. But as the conflict moves into its 19th month, there are concerns global coffers could dry up. At the UN, President Biden argued today that's just what Putin is counting on.
Russia believes that the world will grow weary and allow it to brutalize Ukraine without consequence.
And yet, even in the U.S., some Republicans still aren't sold on another $24 billion aid package.
Where's the accountability on the money we already spent? What is the plan for victory? I think that's what the American public wants to know.
Over the past 4 months, Ukraine has managed to retake pockets of territory using weapons from the U.S. and other allies. But it's slow going because the Russians have seeded minefields like this one all along the 600-mile front line. Today at the UN, a Russian official in the hall kept his eyes on his phone as Zelensky accused his country of kidnapping hundreds of thousands of children.
We are trying to get children back home, but time goes by. What will happen with them? Those children in Russia are taught to hate Ukraine.
As he spoke, 5 Americans were celebrating their first day back on U.S. soil, freed from captivity in Iran as part of a prisoner swap brokered by the Biden administration.
I'm so happy you're home.
Siamak Namozi was reunited with his brother after nearly 8 years behind bars.
So grateful. It's just, you feel like it's a dream. The nightmare is finally over.
And Nancy Cordes joins me now. Nancy, when President Biden talks about the need to support Ukraine, does he have a specific audience or a specific concern in mind?
Sure, and it ranges from the world leaders who are gathered here at the UN, John, to leaders in the U.S. Congress. He understands that there are a lot of causes vying for foreign dollars and that people have short attention spans. Even public polling in this country shows that a lot of Americans are getting weary of funding Ukraine's fight and would like to see that money go elsewhere. So the case that he was making and the case that was made in an even more fulsome way by Ukraine's president himself is that if the world community doesn't continue to stand by Ukraine, if they don't continue to provide Ukraine with weapons and ammunition and foreign dollars, that Russia will simply move on to Ukraine, that it will be emboldened and it will move to other countries next.
You mentioned the power of the message from Volodymyr Zelensky. He mentioned Russia weaponizing food and energy. What was he talking about there?
Well, he was arguing that the fact that the global supply of grain has been interrupted by this war is not an accident. It's not a byproduct of the war. He argues that this is Russia flexing its muscle to hurt not just Ukraine, but other countries around the world. You look at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. He argues that when Russia disabled that plant, that it is showing the world what it can do. And that's why he called it it weaponizing energy. He's making the case, John, that Russia is flexing its muscle here and preparing for the possibility that it can use these same tactics to move into other parts of the world, and that it's not going to get the message that it can't do that unless the global community rises up and shows Russia what can happen when it invades a single sovereign nation like Ukraine.
Nancy Cordes at the United Nations. Thanks so much, Nancy.
You're welcome.